deeper time of worship and the Word at our Encounter evening service. We will hear from our Senior Associate Leader, Dave Gain. We know you will love our service this morning, and we hope to see you out again tonight. Join us for our next Join the Journey this Tuesday, October 4th from 6 to 7:30 p.m. in our main auditorium. Come and enjoy a delicious meal and hear more about the heart of the Journey Center and how to get plugged in and to be a part. You will even to get to hear from our senior leaders, Scott and Lisa Lovenster. If you are new to us or you're interested in getting plugged in, this event is for you. We want to get to know you and we want you to get to know us. Dinner and childcare is provided. Interested in giving your finances a reboot? We will be hosting a Financial Peace University class on Tuesday evenings, beginning Tuesday, October 4th at 6 p.m. through Tuesday, December 6th in the Great Room. Each session will be roughly an hour and a half, with a practical teaching and discussion time. Cost for the class is $105. In this 9-week class, you will learn Dave Ramsey's 7 easy-to-follow baby steps to create a budget, get out of debt, and make a plan for your money. Plus, your Financial Peace membership includes 16 weeks of online access to view each lesson anytime. If you're interested in participating, you can purchase your kit from the Dave Ramsey website, or for more information, visit the Welcome Center. Fall is here. Our Fall Fam Fest and Chili Cook-Off is just around the corner. Monday, October 31st, join us as we host our annual Chili Cook-Off with setup at 5:30 and judging at 6 p.m. to kick off the start of our Fall Fam Fest from 6 through 9 p.m. Come for a time of game, food, bounce houses, prizes, candy, and time together as a family. Little kid-friendly costumes are welcome. To register for our Chili Cook-Off, visit our Welcome Center or email junior@journey-center.com. We hope to see you there. Mark your calendars. Our first Empowering Connection Marriage Conference will be held on Friday, November 11th at 7 p.m. and Saturday, November 12th at 10 a.m., 2 p.m., and 7 p.m. A special guest, Milan and Kay Yurkovich and Jonathan Walton, will be speaking along with worship by our in-house team, Journey Worship. Tickets are $40 per person or $70 per couple. Visit the website for more details at empowering-connection.com. We hope you will be part of this time enriching the relationship you have in your life. If you would like to know more about what's happening at the Journey Center, we have several ways for you to stay connected. Visit our website, journey-center.com. Follow us on social media, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Download our mobile app called Journey Center in the App Store or Google Play. Sign up for our weekly email or visit our Welcome Center. Thanks for watching. Here is a little recap.
Good morning. Anybody check their pulse? This thing that we're going into right now is so needful, useful, beneficial, but wow, hard to do this. Cultivate critical connections. And I don't know about you. Has anybody ever wondered, does anybody ever really stay in relationships for life? Well, of course, Bob. You've got Jane. But do you ever walk through and you go, man, I just don't get, anybody ever feel like, man, I just feel really disconnected to this relationship. I feel disconnected to this relationship. And I feel disconnected to this relationship. And This is just me. I'm not imposing this on you, nor do I want this for you. But what I have found about every relationship that I have that is in common is me. But I keep finding that the problem with all my relationships is common. And then I find the only common thing about all my relationships is me. So then I got to go do this thing and go, well, what's the real problem then here? Because I think it's all of them. And I never think it's me. Now that's a little out of balance, and I'll say that I actually have become masterful at saying I'm sorry because I have had great practice or need to say I'm sorry. I've said I'm sorry to him. Sometimes when I didn't need to say I was sorry, I just thought that was the thing you're supposed to do. Sometimes I haven't seen myself as really even worthy of having a relationship with him or with others, or not even good enough, like, whether it be in marriage or even like, I'm not a good enough husband, I'm not a good enough father, I'm not a good enough son, I'm not a good enough worker, I'm not a good enough pastor, I'm not, all that stuff. And if you notice, the common denominator of all of that is whenever my focus is upon me, the reality is that it's not good enough. Okay, so Scott, I'm talking to myself while you're listening. If that's true, then maybe these critical relationships and these critical connections are less dependent upon you and maybe more dependent upon somebody else. But when I find out that they have the same problems as I have, what are we going to do? I've come to this. I believe that this is true. It's probably good that I believe it before I talk to you guys about it. And I really do believe that I believe. I don't know that I really believe, but I believe that this is true. That everything of connections is birthed in the connection that we have with him. I had one yet. That was Bob Rundle over there. Again, he has Jane. But if we try to do something in relationships here when we don't have this relationship here fixed, I don't know that we can give what we haven't yet first received. So I'd like to just take us on a little bit of a journey over the next, few weeks. We're going to have some amazing people. How many remember Don and Lori Willowball? Well, we were just hang out with them this week down at Life Center, and they're going to be with us next week. And next week, we're going to talk about the critical connection of marriage. And next week, Don and Lori are the ones who are going to be bringing that. And I have seen the notes, and I have heard the passion in Don's voice about this very subject. So if you know, and I know there aren't probably very many that you guys know, and yours certainly isn't one of them, marriages that need some help, please invite some. Pastor Scott, it's a little bit too late for me. No, it's never too late, because what you discover in marriage will benefit every relationship that you have. If you're single, you still need to hear this. If you want to be married, you still need to hear this. And if you don't want to be married, you still need to hear this. If you wish you weren't married, you especially need to hear this. So come next week and with Don and Lori, they're gonna love on you tremendously. They've got the greatest pastor's heart. So I almost want to encourage you to do that. But all of these messages are going to be able to be found at journey-center.com as soon as Rick gets them all uploaded. He is a working little guy. Thank you, Rick, for all that you do for us. Today I want to talk. Yeah, that's a worthwhile clap. Thank you, Lisa, for all that you do for us. Thank you, Alden, for all that you do for us. Now, see, that's part of this. We're going to see in a minute. I set you guys up. Covenant versus contract with regards to relationships. Covenant demands that somebody's got to die. Blood has got to be shed. There'd be covenant. Covenant, believe it or not, can be one-sided, and oftentimes is. Covenant never says, well, you didn't keep your part of the bargain, so I'm out. Covenant says, you didn't keep your part of the bargain, so I'm coming closer. How do I know this? Because Jesus is the reason for the season. Christmas is so close. So excited. He came to the earth. He died in the earth to provide heaven. I would like to propose to you that, and I'm going to, how many know the Old Testament, New Testament? We call it the Old Covenant, the New Covenant. I've got my teachers here, and I've got my pastors here, I got my theologians here, and I'm ready just to rock your world. I don't know that the Old Testament was actually a covenant. I think the Old Testament, this is my opinion. My opinion, and I think I believe it. But I've been digesting this all week. I'm like, under the definition of covenant, the Old Testament doesn't sound like covenant, it sounds like contract. See, because what Jesus had to come and fulfill the contract so we can move into covenant. I know this is hurting. I know it wrecked my theology too. Well, we had an old covenant and a new covenant. Well, can I just ask you something? Why did we need a new covenant if the old covenant worked? I'd like to propose that the old contract didn't work, so we had to have a new covenant that caused somebody to die, lay down their life. See, in the Old Testament, what did you have? You had conditions under a contract that you had to fulfill to be in this relationship with Jesus, or the Father in this case. Under the new covenant, not a contract, Jesus provided everything that was needed for you to be in relationship with him, unconditionally. So contracts really are about conditions. Covenant says, I'm going to lay down my life for you no matter what you do. This is unconditional. This always works in relationships. Law always kills relationships. If you've moved into, in your relationships, it's a 50-50 deal, you've got a contract going on. Covenant says, I'm going to give you 100%. You got to give me 100% to make this thing covenant work. In other words, you give me your complete life, and I give you my complete life, and I look out for your needs, and you look out for my needs, and I'm more concerned about your feelings, and you're more concerned about my feelings, and I'm more concerned about you, and I consider you before I do myself. Do you see what's going on? What we have is a paradigm shift that has just taken us into a relational paradigm rather than a legal paradigm. So again, you don't have to believe what I just said, and again, I think I believe what I just said, but I don't know for sure, but I'd like you to at least to consider the fact that the old had to be replaced because the old wasn't appropriate enough to do what the new had to do. Does that make sense? Okay. Let me just get off of that before somebody tweets me. Contracts like to define what you can expect or get out of a relationship. If we're going to go into this relationship, what can I expect out of you? That's a contract. It has conditions attached to it. But covenant defines what are you required to give unconditionally for this relationship. When I move into this, I'm giving you my life. I'm laying down my life. How many love that passage, wives, submit to your husbands? Come on, somebody. All you guys are scared to death. See, I can raise my hand. Wives, submit to your husbands. I love that passage. The problem is you got to read the whole thing. A wife has no problem submitting to a guy who's dead. All the wives said, amen. How many love the fact that Jesus lived this unconditional life, demonstrated this unconditional life, laid down his life, gave up his rights, because it was more important that he had a relationship with us than that he had his rights. Hi, guys, how you doing? Is any guys going to stay for the rest of the message? I hope so. But I would say this. I don't, if you're really dead, fellas, I don't even know how you're having the conversation of submission because you're dead. Pastor Scott, I died a long time ago. This really stresses me out, this submission thing. Hey, Brendan, come here, would you? I want you to play dead for a minute for me. Now, see, Brendan, you understand, lay right down here on the ground. Here's the deal. Here's the deal. And every time I kick you, I want you to say submit. They can't see him. Just understand Brendan's laying down, and I am beating him up. And I'm kicking him here, and I'm stepping on him here, and I'm crushing him here, and I'm smacking him here. And literally, when Brendan's dead, what is his reaction? Nothing. He's dead. I can't hurt him. I can't offend him. I can't paralyze him. I can't tweak him. And I never hear Brendan ever saying every time I step on him, submit to me. Submit to me. Brendan plays a good dead man. He plays a good dead. So then you're just, Pastor Scott, what you're saying is I just got to let people walk all over me? Yeah. That's not I'm really sorry that Jesus said these things. Turn the other cheek. Do you know that he loved so well that people got offended with him? Anybody ever feel that? Anybody ever feel people get offended with you when you love them too much? I think you ever notice that people who are miserable do not like happy people? Nothing makes me more mad than to see a bunch of people getting happy in church when I don't want to. No, how can you have so much joy? What is wrong with you? Sorry for spitting on you, babe. How about in marriage? How about in marriage? It's like, your wife tries to stop being so positive. Stop speaking life into me. I want to feel dead. Well, you don't ever want to feel dead if you are. Dead people aren't miserable. Dead people, my dad, and this is a spiritual thing, I'm going to get off this. But listen, my dad is gone off this earth. He knows better and loves better than he ever did because he is physically dead and gone. I'd like to propose to you that what's true in the natural is true in the spiritual. That if you are willing to just lay down your rights, I just feel like, lay that down. Yeah, but what about me? Lay that down. Consider others more than you do yourself. And when you do, and when we get this thing going on, it's actually what you give in consideration, you actually receive in manifestation. Does that make? Listen, I don't like this message either because I've had to live this thing. I'm like, this whole series planning for today, I'm like, oh no, what's coming now? Covenant relationships, they take time. They take commitment. But this thing right here, you can't have covenant relationships if you don't have covenant relationship. Pastor Scott, I'm just not experiencing what you're talking about. Well, that's because you're not experiencing what I'm talking about. I tried that. Well, you can't get it that way. Covenant relationship never comes in trial size. I tried to be covenant for 30 days and it just didn't work out for me. That's not covenant. Because I don't think when you die, you're only going to die for 30 days and see how that works out for you. Jesus died once and for all. He did a finished work. I'd like to propose to you, you can't find covenant outside of what God and Jesus has in covenant. You can't produce it. You can't work hard for it. You can't self-will into it. It has to be birthed out of an impregnation that comes from an impartation, from an encounter and experience that is only found in the oneness that God and Jesus had. Covenant relationships begin, though, with an intentional decision. I'd like to propose to you that these intentional decisions aren't a one-time thing. You have to choose every single day who you're going to serve. Are you going to serve your contractual relationships more than your covenant relationships? Intentional about saying, this is what I'm going to do in my